Alright guys, in today's video we have some very good news about PlayStation, specifically PlayStation 4 sales numbers. We also have some good news coming out of Sony letting us know that they are planning to acquire more studios even after purchasing Insomniac Games. And we even have a little bit of news about PlayStation Vue, which I guess technically wouldn't be good news because it's shutting down, but I think the reasoning why it's going to be shutting down is definitely going to be appealing to the majority of people who play on PlayStation. So let's take some time to go over this here. It says that the PS4 is now the second best selling console ever. It wasn't too long ago that the PlayStation 4 became the fastest console to reach 100 million units sold, already pushing the machine into the all-timers list. However, new information has just surfaced from Sony, shedding new light on the sales performance of the current-gen box. The platform holder's latest financial report states it sold another 2.8 million consoles in the last quarter. This pushes PS4's total to approximately 102.8 million, just beating out the original PlayStation's 102.5 million total. The machine is now the second best-selling home console ever. It's still got some way to go if it wants to take the crown from PS2 at 155 million. It's a tall order, but even if Sony doesn't sell another PS4, it can decidedly be considered a great success. So this is some really good information here that honestly it makes me feel really good to share this because it proves just how well console gaming is doing, and it shows that Sony really knows how to support their console. I know that this isn't the first time we're taking time in a video to go over the sales performance of the console, but honestly, anytime Sony updates us, I'm going to take some time to talk about it, and I'm always going to take that time to highlight that there's a reason why Sony is now sitting at 102.8 million units sold. What's interesting here is it does note at the bottom that this 2.8 million sold in this quarter is slightly down compared to last year, but we all know why this is happening. It's because the PlayStation 5 is right around the corner, but they are saying that Sony is probably going to be going in really hard this holiday season with steep discounts to try to sell as many units as they can during the holiday, which for anybody who may have missed that video I made, we talked about the rumor that apparently Sony is planning on dropping the price of the PS4 down to $150 during Black Friday or during that holiday period in November. We don't know if that's true yet, but it would make a lot of sense for Sony to do that. And so if anybody's looking to get a PS4 at the best possible value, that's when you're going to want to do it. But yeah, man, this is just further validation that Sony knows what they're doing in this market. They know how to sell consoles. There's a lot of people who kind of rag on individuals like me and others who care about sales and pay attention to them, and they try to make it sound like because we care about how well or not well a console may be performing or selling relative to the market, that we don't know how to enjoy video games. But I feel like that's not fair because it's a completely separate thing. I mean, as somebody who grew up playing consoles, I care about console gaming. It's my favorite way to enjoy games, and because I care about it, I want to see it do as well as it can. I want to see it continue to grow and do better and not stagnate or decline, right? And so seeing how well Sony can do with the PlayStation 4, how it can become the second best-selling console of all time, sitting just behind the PlayStation 2 at 155 million units sold, it just goes to show that Sony really knows what they're doing. They know how to support a console. They know how to sell a console. They know how to make it appealing to the market, to not only the hardcore gamer, but even to an extent the casual gamer. And it starts with the hardcore gamer. And that's why when you look at this number, you have to ask yourself, what is the biggest driving force here? Frankly, I do believe it is the exclusive games. I know that not every single person who buys a PlayStation 4 is doing so to play exclusive games, but you always have to think about the trickle effect. You have to think about where it starts. Who are the people out here buying these consoles when they're their most expensive? It's the hardcore gamer, and the reason why they're doing this is because they like the games they're seeing, or they just really love console gaming, right? And so Sony is supporting both of these things really well. They've done a great job supporting their platform this entire generation, and frankly, they deserve sales numbers like this. They earned these sales numbers. This isn't some kind of luck-based thing. They worked towards it, and we saw just how in tune they tried to be with the gamer, the hardcore gamer this generation, and it seems as though it's paying off handsomely for them. And so going into next generation with the PlayStation 5, there's already millions of people, I bet, who are excited for that, who are going to be there within the first couple months of launch, within the first 6 months, buying PlayStation 5s because they know what to expect based off of the great experience they've had not only with the PS4, but with pretty much every single generation of PlayStation. So there you go. PS4, second best-selling console of all time. Absolutely incredible. Good job, Sony. I'm really happy as a console gamer to see how well they're doing in the console space and how they're keeping it alive and thriving. But moving on from that, we are going to be talking about how Sony has confirmed during this financial earnings call that they are looking to acquire more studios. It says that studio acquisitions are all the rage nowadays. Microsoft can't put on a conference without announcing a handful, and Sony got in on the act a few months back when it revealed that it had purchased Marvel's Spider-Man developer Insomniac Games. It looks like that's just the beginning for the PlayStation brand, however, as the company has now gone on record stating that it is pursuing more opportunities. As part of its latest earnings call, where it also announced that the PlayStation 4 is now the second best-selling home console of all time, the hardware manufacturer said that it will continue to pursue growth investment opportunities to enhance content IP. In other words, Sony is in talks with more studios in order to bolster its first-party lineup that little bit more. So this is also some really good news. We know that this is coming not too long after the Insomniac acquisition, which is an absolutely huge acquisition. A lot of people didn't think that was going to happen because Insomniac over the years has kind of shown just how against being acquired they are, but I guess things were just right for them and the price was right that Sony was offering, and it's just a perfect fit. Insomniac has always seemed like a perfect fit under Sony. That's why they've always worked so well together, and they I guess as they say, finally put a ring on it. And it's going to be interesting to see which other studios Sony announces. One of the bigger, well, I don't know if it's a bigger studio, but one of the more interesting ones has to do with Remedy. We saw how close Sony and Remedy have been acting, especially with the launch of Control. But unfortunately, it seems that Control was a massive sales flop, which is really unfortunate because I played it. It was actually really good. It's a solid game. It's just so sad to see a single-player game like that apparently just can't make it, on any sales charts whatsoever. And so it's hard to say if maybe Sony was considering acquiring them. They wanted to see how this game performed, and they saw that it maybe performed really badly, and they're like, you know what, maybe we're not going to pursue that. But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe Sony thinks if it had that PlayStation marketing, that Sony marketing behind it, maybe it could have sold really well, right? That PlayStation brand really holds a lot of weight. Who knows? We know there's Remedy. Some people were thinking Bluepoint Games or Housemarque, and these are also both studios that I think are very likely. I think Bluepoint is probably the most likely. I think before, or maybe when we get their new game announcement, we're going to hear that Sony actually acquired them because we know how closely associated they are with them and how they just have this really good relationship. Another big one that I frankly would absolutely love to see, and especially now with the hype for Death Stranding being in full force here, I would love to see Kojima Productions. And this is one where we really don't know whether or not this is going to be a reality. It could be one of these things where Sony is looking to see how well Death Stranding does. It's looking like it's going to do really well, but we also have to think that Kojima is, he's independent now, and he's been with Konami pretty much his entire career. We saw how that ended. It ended really poorly. So a part of him might just want to be like, listen, I don't want my studio acquired ever. I want it to be independent, but maybe not. He's also had a really good relationship with Sony over all these years, and we know that Sony really, helped him when he was getting started and, allowing him to use their proprietary engine that Guerrilla developed and all this stuff. So maybe Kojima Productions will be the next one, just like Insomniac. Their acquisition came not too long after the release of Spider-Man, but mainly seeing the success of Spider-Man, maybe we could see something similar with Kojima Productions. But there you go. Sony is on record once again saying that they're not stopping with Insomniac Games. There's more studio acquisitions to come. Very exciting stuff. Final thing we're going to mention here briefly has to do with Sony closing down PlayStation Vue to put more of their focus on the core gaming. Says there were rumors earlier this week that Sony was looking to offload television streaming service PlayStation Vue, but it seems the company couldn't find a buyer as it's preparing to sunset the project on January 30th, 2020. According to Deputy President John Coder, the organization has decided to remain focused on our core gaming business. So Yeah, for anybody who maybe used PlayStation Vue, frankly, I never used it. I kind of forgot about it, if I'm being honest. It was something that I knew about, but it just never really clicked with me. I never really saw the need to try it out. But yeah, for anybody who is subscribed to this, it is going to be ending January 30th, 2020. But the thing that I actually like about this, it's obviously unfortunate for anybody who is subscribed, but the thing I like is that they're shutting it down and reiterating that they just want to focus on the core gaming business. And this is just another area where you see that PlayStation as a gaming brand, and it's like everything that Sony is doing, or most of what they're doing, and especially with PlayStation, it starts with the gaming aspect of it, right? Like that's, and it's just nice to know that the people who are running PlayStation are well aware of the fact, as they should be, that PlayStation is what they're known for, gaming is what they're known for, and as somebody who is passionate about gaming, it's always nice to see a big company like Sony really succeeding in this area to the point where this is their breadwinner. PlayStation is their breadwinner when it comes to all of their divisions, and what that ultimately means is they're going to support it even more. We're going to see more games, more this, more that, in regards to what we like to see, and that's a good thing to me. So it's unfortunate, again, that PlayStation Vue is shutting down, but it's nice to hear that the reasoning for this is because they want to just focus on their core gaming business. I can 100% get behind that. Don't waste your resources and your money and your energy on things like PlayStation Vue, where it's like I don't think PlayStation Vue is going anywhere. I think obviously the reason why they're shutting this down is it was losing them money. And so that's money that could go into games, right? Or, hardware, stuff like that, stuff we care about. So I'm all for this, nothing wrong here. I don't even consider it bad news. But if you are somebody who did use PlayStation Vue, how was your experience with it? And are you really upset knowing that Sony is going to be shutting this down? But do you feel better knowing it's to focus on the core gaming business? That's going to do it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about all this down in the comments below. I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Be sure to leave the video a like if you enjoyed it or found it informative at all. Really helps me out, lets me know you guys are enjoying the content. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload. And feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.